Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans is a professional organization representing the residential housing industry, serving its members and the community since 1941. Here with me today to discuss the past year's success and also what homeowners should look forward to in the year 2024 is Mr. Dan Mills and Mr. Shivers Nellen of the Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans. And Mr. Shivers, you are the board chair of the organization, and Dan, and I feel like I can call you Dan because we've been hanging out for a long time together.
Absolutely.
You are the CEO.
Correct.
All right, what is the differentiation? Board chair?
I'm actually the sitting president of the Home Builders Association.
You are the sitting president?
Yes.
All right, and Dan, as CEO?
So as president, you're elected, and as CEO, I work for the HBA to implement the vision that our directors and board are putting forth.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was reading your bio, and it says he's not your usual entrepreneur. There's something unique about Mr. Shivers. So what is that, Mr. Shivers? What makes you unique?
Well, I think there's uniqueness within all of us, but
don't be so modest.
Well, I'm just saying, for the most part, I think there's uniqueness in all of us. I have like what you would say, a background that most wouldn't see as typical, you know, to a person that's sitting in this position. So, you know, me bringing that forward up front and them accepting me makes me, you know, extraordinary, I would say.
So you're broadening the horizon of the organization.
Yes, definitely.
You're bringing another mindset.
Yes.
All right.
And being that I am the first African American president of the Home Builders Association, you know, that also brings a difference to the organization, which in my case it would be inclusion, bringing some diversity as well, which we all need in the community.
Why is that important as a CEO?
You know, it's really important because we have a very large workforce, and it is an important milestone that we have the first African American president, but we also have an initiative that Nellen and the directors have been working on just in general to increase diversity, and that means the Hispanic population as well. And we established for the first time a Latino committee, and that Latino committee, you know, 30% of our workforce is Spanish speaking, and this is an opportunity to put forth services and programming that will support that community in their native language. And that allows us to then provide education and business development, which will lead to higher quality and more affordable housing. And that's all part of the whole initiative. It's not your dad's old HBA. This is now an organization that is reaching out to all of our community and finding ways to provide programming and a home for those communities.
How do you see that working out in the long term?
I see it being great. The older generation that is there now has basically led the way for the organization to be where it is today. And with the younger generation coming in, we can gather the wisdom from them and then move the organization forward with the help of them as well, being on the sideline, because I can always pick my phone up and call one of the older members that may have stepped away just to go enjoy his life. You know, he's put 30, 40 years into the organization, and he don't want to be on the forefront anymore, but he's always a phone call away. So I do see it having a great impact with the younger generation being a part of it.
Is that important now? I mean, I see a lot of things happening institutionally where there's been a disconnection between the status quo and the younger generation, where there seems to be a lack of communication. I remember that I was talking with Leah Chase once, and she was concerned about nobody carrying the legacy forward. Is that what you guys are concerned about?
For the most part, I'm not too concerned about the younger generation, because I want to be the voice of the younger generation, and I want to be the one to put forward the foot to step this organization into a different perspective, not so much of my own agenda, but to encourage African Americans that they can also be a part of this organization and not look at it as a racial thing to stay away from.
Has that been an issue? Has that been a barrier? That perception that it is an organization that is not open?
Leah hits a good point, and she's an icon of the community. That we have a graying workforce, like many others. The seafood industry faces this issue, and many other industries, and certainly it is for us. So reaching out to the youth is really important. Workforce development is really important. I'm proud of what Shivers has brought in, because he really does have that ability to connect to the younger group that are coming in, and we need to show individuals that there is a career and a pathway and a future in construction. Beside food, shelter is the #1 need of the community, and we need a workforce that can come in to do it. We have 600,000 unfilled jobs nationwide in residential construction today.
Really?
And so that drives up the cost of construction when you have a shortage of labor. So as we can do affordable training for our young people, like we have at the Build Strong Academy, we can provide training, increase the number of people, and these are jobs that are paying $25, $30, $35 an hour, and they contribute to the physical construction of our city. People in construction look back on 2 decades and they say, I built that neighborhood and I had a part of constructing this community, and it gives you a seat in the community, and it gives you a career that allows you to raise your family, and it provides a fundamental need in our community.
I remember you were talking about that the last time you were here last year, the Build Strong program. Is that part of the highlights of the year 2023, that program?
It really is. The Build Strong Academy provides a certification in carpentry. It's completed over 12 weeks. It has 0 tuition through sponsorship with the Breeze Dream Foundation.
Really?
You only have to be 18 years old to be there. And Shivers has been involved with that. He's been out at some of the graduations, and it's an amazing program to get involved with.
So how do you find this program? I guess that's the question some viewers would be asking right now, especially those who have youngsters or who may themselves be looking for employment.
So Build Strong has 16 campuses now nationwide, so they can be found from hbi.org, or you can just drop in on the campus on Williams Boulevard over there in Kenner. Just drop in on the campus. It's right off West Napoleon on Williams Boulevard. Stop in. They've got staff over there that will walk you through the program. You can tour the facility. It's really fantastic.
So what do our viewers need to know about affordable housing in terms of what the Home Builders Association can offer?
There's so many things going on. One of the biggest challenges that we face today is insurance, and those insurance prices have been hitting us, and the Home Builders Association has been working hard to address several factors that affect that, and part of it is resiliency. So we're trying to make sure that we're building better structures. There are other factors that are needed in reform that our new insurance commissioner is working on and that our legislature will work on. But the #1 thing as home builders we can do is to build more resilient structures, and we're trying to find ways to do that, quality, and also provide the affordability.
And when you talk about affordability, I'm looking at interest rates. I'm looking at you're talking about insurance. I'm looking at the higher insurance costs. How do you get around that? Is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
There's a great program that many people don't know, that they can get a wind mitigation survey. And this wind mitigation survey is a third-party person that comes in and documents features that have been installed in the home that protect it from high-speed winds, and can be submitted to your insurance company and receive discounts. So in 2008, they mandated discounts for wind mitigation, and there are many things like putting clips or putting unbreakable windows or using architectural shingles or putting a resilient roof on. And these things can be documented. So when the insurance carriers decide if they're going to write business here, they need data to base what their rates are going to be on. And we are lacking in data in Louisiana because we don't do permitting and inspection on re-roofs, there's no municipal data set that tells the insurance companies how many roofs in our housing stock have been replaced at a standard. And so that's a key objective that we're trying to produce. And Jefferson Parish has started producing permitting for re-roofs. Orleans Parish has begun this year. And that's going to create a data set over the next 5 years that will attract carriers to come back in. So as State Farm looks and says, do we want to write new business in Louisiana? They'll be able to say out of the 200,000 homes, 50,000 roofs have been replaced at a resilient standard. So today, we know we replaced 50, 60,000 roofs after Ida, but there's nothing that says what kind of roof we put on there. So we need a municipal data set to verify, a third-party verification of the quality and resiliency of those roofs. And as we build our resiliency in our housing stock to around 20%, we'll attract those standard carriers. They're not afraid to write in hazard areas. What they're afraid to write is on property that they don't know the risk.
Yeah, I was talking to my insurance carrier, and I was asking, I said, you know, why are my rates going up? And he says, well, it's, you know, because of where you live. Particularly, it's because you live in the state of Louisiana. And he said, but I tell you what, you can get an inspector to come out and he said, do you have shutters on your house? I said, yeah. He said, well, if you can get an inspector to come out and look at your shutters to see if they're eligible, if they qualify for our wind shelter program, we may be able to get you some reduction. But I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to go to find an inspector.
And today you can come to HBAGNO.org, and on Consumer Resources we have a list of the licensed wind mitigation surveyors in Louisiana, and you can call any of them, and for a few $100s they'll do exactly that. They will provide you with a certified report by a licensed surveyor that you can then submit, and it will document all of those kinds of wind mitigation features of your home. And they'll also tell you, and then you can contact members like Shivers and others within our organization to come and add those features to your home to get further discounts down the road.
What kind of features, Mr. Shivers, would I as a homeowner be helped by?
First off, normally we would get a company to come out and install new vinyl windows. They won't be hurricane resistant windows. So there's a fabric that they have produced that would allow you to make that window hurricane resistant, and it's actually cheaper than putting a hurricane resistant window in. And it's a retrofitted fabric that you can send, you screw 7-inch screws into the studs of the outer perimeter of the window, and then there's some detached or detachable butterfly screw things that you can actually use to remove or install the fabric in the case of the hurricane.
So if I'm a viewer listening to you right now, I can pick up the phone and talk to you?
Yes, you can call me, or you can
ask you.
You can call me, and if I can't give you the information that you need, I can direct you to someone within our organization that actually installs this fabric.
That hurricane fabric is an amazing product. It withstands a 2x4 projectile at 20 miles an hour.
No kidding.
Yes.
And it is installed at a cost of about $8 to $10 a square foot. So for a fraction of those high impact windows, you can actually install this aftermarket on an older home, and it's very accessible in terms of protection.
So I live in a historic district. Am I going to have problems with the historic people?
It's not on all the time.
Yeah.
You have the studs, and if you put it like you would put plywood up, this goes on, and wing nuts hold it in place on those studs that are into the window frames. So it's not up all the time, so no problem in the historic
I don't know
district.
if you remember the program where they had the plastic hurricane protection that they were putting on your windows. They have a wing nut, and you can remove and install. The the sheeting is actually the same type of installation. You can remove it, and then you can install it.
Okay, well, it's great to know that you guys are accessible.
Yes.
And I'm sure there are a lot of viewers would have questions that they probably want to ask.
Absolutely.
So thanks to both of you for being here, Dan Mills and Mr. Shivers Nellon.
Norm, always a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. That would conclude our program for this evening. We would again like to thank all of our guests for joining us.